Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday service today. Thank you for coming. How is everybody today?
Awake and ready.
Yay! Maybe. We had a beautiful concert last night. Thank you to our choir, Sandy Pagano, everyone that helped put the event on. It was just beautiful. It was astral. Thank you. So our topic this morning, do we need a guru, took me down memory lane. I was remembering when I first moved to the village and I first discovered these teachings. I resonated with so many things I heard about these teachings. Living in community, having the support of like-minded friends. These teachings and the philosophies, simple living, high thinking. The practice of meditation, I could totally relate to because it helped me to feel more calm and more peaceful. But when the topic of a guru came up, then I wasn't so sure. I said, And I remember listening to a talk that Swami Kriyananda was giving, and somebody asked him that very question, do we need a guru? And Swami Kriyananda said, no. And I thought, aha, I knew it. But then he went on to say, but if you want to find God, then you need a guru. And the first words that Swami Kriyananda said to Yogananda when he met him is, I want to be your disciple. Not like your servant, not like turning over my life so I couldn't make any decisions in my life. But Swami Kriyananda knew that he wanted to know God, and Yogananda was a God-realized master. I remember the first time I heard a saying of Yogananda, God is center everywhere, circumference nowhere. What does that mean, I thought? How do you even understand what that means? A man was trying to understand the nature of God, and he asked God, he said, God, what is a million years like to you? And God replied, well, a million years is like a minute. And then the man asked God, he says, what is $1 million to you? And God replied, well, $1 million is like a penny. And finally the man replied, he said, so God, can I have a penny? And God replied, in a minute. It is so big that sometimes it has to be this concept of God and God consciousness has to be given to us, step by step. I was thinking of the Transformers. For a while there, they were really popular, weren't they, in our movies? Transformer 1, 2, 3, I don't even know what they were. But the guru is like a transformer, but for that ultimate divine consciousness. He helps to bring it down from that big, vast consciousness down so that we could understand it. But he doesn't do it for himself. He does it for us. A woman came up to Yogananda when he was at a party, I think it was in Hollywood, and she said to him, I understand that Dr. Lewis was your first disciple. And Yogananda replied pretty sternly, he says, well, that's what they say. And she was a little taken back, but Yogananda went on to explain, they're not my disciples, they're God disciples. A guru will do that. A guru will not keep you for himself. A guru will take you to God, a true guru. We were making dessert yesterday at Laurelwood, and we were joking. We were saying, well, a cook or a baker sometimes doesn't share their secret recipe with you. Or sometimes they'll share their recipe, but they won't share the secret little ingredient. But a guru won't do that. A guru will share everything. A guru comes for you. A guru comes for me. Guru comes so that we can find that divine consciousness. We can awaken to who we really are. We can awaken to, as we always say, the big S for self-realization, not the small s. The guru comes to remind us that this is not who we are. I was remembering a story of our Living Wisdom School down at Ananda Village in the kindergarten class. They used to play this game called the Little Self, Big Self. And when the kids were feeling a little selfish or they weren't sharing their toys or maybe they hit somebody, they would say to each other, you're in your little self now. But when the children were more expansive, when they were sharing their toys, when they were kind, when they were helping a fellow classmate, they would say, you're in your big self now. And they practiced this for a good part of the year, little self, big self. And it was so sweet because then at the end of the year, a little boy went up to his teacher and he said, I don't even remember my little self anymore. Yogananda brought the teachings of the big S, that reminder of who we are. He brought us the tools. He brought us everything we need for us, not for him again, for us. And then remembering that it's an inner quest, this journey to self-realization, our connection with our guru. It's strictly between us and our guru, us and God. We don't need to wear it on our sleeve. We talked about what is attunement to the guru a couple of weeks ago. You don't need to wave a flag around or anything like that. It's an inner relationship. And the guru comes for us again and again. I want to just end my part of the sharing. Daiva will be also talking. This is Yogananda's book, Whispers from Eternity. He said, if you want to know me, read my whispers. I want to read his poem, God's Boatman, which talks about why he comes and how he comes and comes again and again. So let's just take a moment and close our eyes. Feel Yogananda talking to you. I want to ply my boat many times across the gulf after death and return to Earth's shores from my home in space. I want to load my boat with all those waiting, thirsty ones who have been left behind, that I may carry them to the opalescent pool of iridescent joy. There where my Father distributes his all desire-quenching liquid peace. Oh, I will come back again and again, crossing a million crags of suffering. With bleeding feet I will come, if need be 1,000,000,000 times, as long as I know that one stray brother is left behind. I want thee, O God, that I may give thee to all. I want salvation, that I may give it to all. Free me then, O Lord, from the bondage of this body, that I may show others how they too can free themselves. I want thine everlasting happiness, but I want also to share it with others, that all my brothers may find the way to happiness forever and forever in thee.
Good morning, everyone. The little girl was in Sunday school, and she was drawing feverishly, just going like crazy. And the teacher walked over and said, "Honey, what are you drawing?" She looked up and she says, "I'm drawing God." And the teacher said, "Honey, nobody knows what God looks like." And she says, "They will in a minute." The problem isn't that we've forgotten our little selves. The problem is we've forgotten our big selves. We don't know what it looks like. We don't remember. I've been talking the last couple weeks about seeking God as a career choice. And it's an odd thought for most of us. Most of us think, well, I have my career over here and my life here, and I'm doing these things, and, I want more fulfillment from my life, and so I'll go to Sunday service, and I'll learn the art and science of Raja Yoga. That was a word from our sponsor. And I'll do these things, and I'll meditate on a regular basis, and I'll fit it into my life. But the problem is, for every one of us, at the end of a day, we have a primary commitment. And there's only one. And that primary commitment will determine when chips are down, and trust me, chips at some point in your life will be down. And when those chips are down, you're going to choose according to your first priority. And it really won't matter a whole lot what else you think you have going on. And so that choice will be, I'm going to choose to hang on to my house, or hang on to my job, or do whatever it takes to hang on to my marriage, or hang on to my kids. Or we make the commitment that when things are threatened, when things are challenged, when things don't make sense according to our standards and our little box anymore, that we're committed to what? Well, we're committed, yes, to something less, or we're not. And the career choice that is seeking God I realized it's a hard thing to do justice to, that conversation, because it seems like it anticipates a void without any kind of sense to it. You know, if I seek God as a career choice, now what? How much am I going to make? What are my benefits? What are my hours? Right? Right? Can I move up the ladder? You know, there's no place that we can go with it. And you know what? There's really no place you can go with it, because it's not a box. It's not a prescribed pathway. What it is it's a first priority. It's a choice to make growth toward light, to make joy and happiness, to make service and receptivity and openness to life the very first priority. And just like, picture going to work today, if you're not the CEO of your company, picture going to work today and having no CEO, no manager, nobody to tell you what to do. You just walk in and you look around, and now what? Okay? Well, that's what seeking God is like if you don't have a guru. If you don't have somebody who's there willing to take responsibility for guiding your thoughts and your actions, your behaviors. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to know how to move through life. It's terrifying to think about going outside of the box. You know, we get sold every day. This enormous movement of energy is selling us every day on where happiness can be found. And it's a fairly self-serving, think about it, you know, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. You know, think about all the little jingles. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Alka-Seltzer's going to save you. You know, buy a Beetle and get less. You know, that was one of the greatest advertising things. But we're getting sold all day long. Be in fear, be concerned, be terrified. Somebody across the world who you never will meet and has no relation to you just got hurt today. Oh my God, aren't you nervous? Somebody hurt them and they may be looking for you. You may get hurt today. You know, or you know, happiness comes from having more. Endlessly, and then we get into that beautiful spiral of aspiration. Just one more thing. You know, this is a Harvard, I think it's Harvard, experiment. They decided to find out, were people happy with their income? And it didn't matter how much people they found. It didn't matter how much people earned. Across the board, the answer was, I'd be happy if I had just 10% more. Isn't that fascinating? Doesn't matter how much you're making, it's that 10%. And you know what's funny? The spiritual path, it's so unintuitive. It's so counterintuitive. The spiritual path says you should give 10% away. If you want happiness, you should give your first 10% away. Not you should get 10% more, but you should take what you already have and just take the first 10% and give it back. Give it back to the source. It's not yours in the first place. If you want happiness, if you want what you're looking for, you have to go outside of the box of what you're being sold every day. And to do that, it takes tremendous courage. And then it also takes, that courage is foolhardiness and foolishness if we aren't harnessed to a guide that both knows what it's like where we're trying to go and knows how to get us there. If we want infinity, and we do, we want infinity, we want an unalloyed happiness. We want a joy that never ends. We want something that varies, that changes, that embraces everything, but that we recognize as intimate. Every one of us wants the same thing because we came from the same source. We are infinite. We're just trying to reclaim our home. We're just trying to reclaim who we are. And of course, bless you. Of course, we don't eat the elephant all at once. We eat it bite by bite. We take a step up the mountain. We don't leap to the top of the mountain. My sister was working in the Grand Tetons, and she was a ranger, and she was at the kiosk where people were coming into the park. And one person wanted to know where was the escalator to the top of the Grand Teton. That's what we all want. We just want the escalator to the top of the Grand. And you know, the bad news is it's not there. You have to climb if you want the view. If you want to reclaim the wholeness of your own nature, you have to have the courage. We have to have the courage to go up the mountain. And if we're wise, we will very, very quickly harness ourselves to somebody who we know has been to the top of the mountain. It's not enough that they can talk about the mountain and how beautiful it is. If all they know is the valleys below and they just look up at it, if they can't tell you all along the way, you're going to find a marsh over here. You're going to go through a really dry spell. You're going to have to scale this cliff. You're going to have a beautiful period where you're walking flat. And then you're going to have to drop down 1,000 feet, and then you're going to have to make your way back up on the far side of that canyon. If you don't know about the Hillary Step when you're on Mount Everest or the ice fields, you're in real trouble. Same thing as Swami talks about, same thing for us. And it's so compelling, the story of our own redemption, because it doesn't fit in a little box that's comfortable. Anybody anybody here not done athletics at some level? Just don't raise hands, but just think inside. Think about any time that you've wanted to grow in any direction. You personally have aspired to something more, being a yoga teacher, being an athlete, being, getting a good job. Think about the exercise that you had to go through in order to become bigger. It always takes you to your limit if you want to become something more than you already are. Well, so much more so for the spiritual path. Non-injury, we tend to think of it as an external thing. But I've seen repeatedly across time, and I just like people to take these thoughts inside for a few minutes. I've seen repeatedly that people somehow, when they come to the path, they want it to be soft. They want it to be gentle. They want it to be, so coddling and the escalator to the top of the mountain. But the top of the mountain is fierce. The top of the mountain is powerful. The top of the mountain gives you the view of everything. And it's like unearned wealth. If you haven't earned it, you can't manage it. You don't know what to do with it. We have to earn back. We have to do the exercises that awaken the nascent power of our own soul. And it's terrifying. Nobody in the midst of childbirth, I've been told, I haven't given birth this life, but nobody, they say, in the midst of childbirth, thinks getting pregnant is a really good idea. Nobody in the midst of spiritual effort thinks that seeking God is a good idea. It hurts. The problem with tapasya is it just hurts. And what happens is we get scared. We get terrified. Well, if I really do this, I'm going to lose everything that I count on, everything that I value. I'm going to lose myself. I'm going to lose. This hurts too much. I can't do this. And so they pull back and they turn away. But everything we want is on the far side of the exercises that God will put in front of us to awaken that power and understanding at the center of our own being. And if we don't know what that process looks like, if we don't know what it looks like to wake up and what it takes, and that it's not broken, then we won't go there. And that's the greatest injury. If you want to talk about non-injury, it's not only out there, non-injury is inside. And is it injurious to have surgery? Yeah. But is it a greater injury to not have surgery? Yes. Is it an injury to not grow spiritually? It's far more an injury to not grow spiritually than it is to do the exercises that it takes to wake up. But they're often not pleasant. They're often not easy. And certainly, Swami Kriyananda's one-word answer when somebody asked him, what was it like living with a spiritual master? What was it like living with Paramahansa Yogananda? How wonderful. Here you are in the presence of God. And his one-word answer was, it was inconvenient. It was inconvenient at every single level because it asked him to put down everything he thought was true so that he could pick up what was really true and behave according to that. That's the gift of the Guru. That's the gift of the Guru. That's the gift of God that comes in the form of the Guru in response to your own hunger, It's a career choice. And then the path in your career will look exactly like you. But it won't be from outside in. It won't be. The difference between a yogi and a worldly person. What's the Zen saying? Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. But a worldly person is trying to get something from their behaviors, trying to get something from their job, trying to get something from their marriage, trying to get something from each other. And a yogi knows that you find it inside. A yogi knows that you fill up from inside in silence in the presence of God. And then it flows over. It overflows your being into your marriage, into your work, into your friendships, into everything you do. That's the difference. What's waiting for us is beyond imagining, but we will not receive that benefit. We will not get what we're seeking until we make seeking God our career choice, making it the first priority, so that when the chips are down, when it's hard, when it hurts, we don't turn away to something lesser. We don't turn away to the house, the family, the car, the kids, the things that are transient. And all those things are precious, but they're all transient. None of them can give us what we're looking for. Only God can give us. Only the presence of God from within can give us what we're seeking. So let's take a moment, sit up straight. This is a very rare opportunity. Close the eyes, internalize the attention and energy. Feel inside of yourself for the aspirations of your heart, for the aspirations of your life. Feel all the things that you've done to try and fulfill that aspiration to date, and how it just goes from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And then feel at the center of your own nature the stillness that is the presence of Spirit. That everything is okay now. Everything has been okay through all the ups and downs of your life as long as you stay in the presence of Spirit. And that everything that's come has been brought for your awakening, for your blessing. I have some music.